What's good, people? What's good, YouTube? We're just gonna have a talking one today. No capturing my laptop screen here, cause I just want to say some things. Hope you had a good Sabbath day yesterday. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna title this one, but it's probably gonna be something about like keep asking questions. Like for some reason, I kind of feel like we already won here. And that's not just going for MGTOW people. I kind of more mean like me and the people that are consistently, I guess, commenting, to be honest, on the videos here. Like, I'm just gonna be talking. This is unscripted. I'm just kind of sharing thoughts here, to be honest. Basically, the reason I started the channel was because I wanted to. I mean, it's called an essential business, right? It's called an essential business. And obviously, for reasons, I learned a crap ton about just society in general over the course of since COVID. And once I understood about, okay, essential versus non essential businesses, I was like, okay, well, that's BS. So I decided, and even prior to that, like I always say, I was in pharmacy school and stuff like that, and I was always asking questions. That's the thing. You gotta keep asking questions here, because not everything is the way it it's kind of like made out to be. We live in a society of consistent advertising, and then all advertising is targeted, and you can see that especially on the internet, especially with the rise of digital advertising. All advertising is targeted to one group or another, and the groups have been kind of micro. The groups have been, what's the word for it, more and more well defined over time, ever since I think Eddie Bernays was the first guy to really start using the modern advertising model way back in the 1920s, I think, the roaring 20s, when advertising started. I mean, just think about that for a little bit. I don't know how much you guys read. Obviously, I don't know if you guys have noticed, like, there's books in the background and stuff like that, but I do read. I read a good amount, and I'm pretty sure you guys do too. That's why you're a MGTOW, to be honest. Probably MGTOWs are usually pretty smart people, and then on top of that, you're attracted to this channel and you keep watching, so you must be at least a little bit well read. If not, probably even more than me, to be honest. But I mean, well, that is kind of saying something. I mean, I read like at least 3 hours a day. I mean, you could be more well read than me, but I don't know, man. But I mean, who knows? You could be. But yeah, I'm not to like brag or anything. I mean, that's just facts. Like, I'm reading like 5 books right now. But I mean, okay, I'll just keep going. But yeah, so once you start kind of reading about history, and that's one thing I'm into, history, and also different perspectives too. The thing is, basically everybody's pretty smart, to be honest. Oh yeah, my battery, I don't know how, my memory card, not necessarily my battery, but my memory card is about halfway full, so if the video stops all of a sudden, I'll just post it out like that. Because this isn't one of those like well-defined topic videos. This is kind of more one of those rambling videos. But yeah, so the memory card, I didn't really clear it out that much because I was just like, whenever it stops, it stops. I'm just gonna post it whenever it stops. So if if there's no clean cut there, then screw it, man. Like, it happened. I warned y'all. But yeah, so just to keep it going, basically everybody's pretty smart. But the thing is, people, they just stop once they kind of got their life settled. What's the point of learning more after a certain point, right? unless you're just a bookworm or like a autist or some shit like me, kind of. There's no point to keep seeking more knowledge because the knowledge is basically infinite. Like, I always laugh when people are like, oh, people talk about being smart and stuff like that, because the thing is, unless you have some kind of disability, and we'll get into that in the healthcare network later, but some kind of disability to where you actually can't, you're physically and physiologically unable to be like smart to a certain extent. every everybody's pretty much going to be smart unless you have some sort of like ailment like that. But you don't keep learning because but I mean, this might be saying this again, but at some point you take in enough information to live your life comfortably, and at that point, like, even if you're like a slave or something, you don't, it doesn't really matter, because like once you're comfortable basically. So, and that's what I've kind of noticed, because I'm 24 now, so I've been in school a lot, but then I got out of school for coronavirus, and then I kind of witnessed, okay, how do people react to this kind of stuff. And at some point you're just on your path of life, and then you could take in all this other stuff, but unless there's a reason to, like, I'm a bookworm and shit, so I kind of tried to make there be a reason for me to keep learning. Like, so if I want to do a business or something like that, then you got to keep learning. And also, that's why I'm into software, right? Because software, you kind of have to keep learning. So I'm reading a lot about that. But unless you're in a position like that, you have no reason to continue reading and continue trying to coalesce information and do all that stuff. So, or unless you're like trying to find a mate, which is why MGTOWs, not gonna lie, tend to be smart, because your brain keeps working. Like, if you're trying to find a mate or something, like, your brain has to work to a certain extent to understand that market. So, yeah, and that's funny. That's why a lot of bachelors, like people that start businesses, they're bachelors, a lot of them. But I was reading that somewhere. But yeah, just I guess general thoughts. So I mean, like, just never stop, I guess, questioning. But basically, let me just, okay, go back to what something I said earlier. So the reason I kind of started this channel was because I wanted to get like-minded individuals, and I wanted to kind of get like a team, basically. I mean, like a team in a certain sense, just to go, because I feel like we already won almost in that. Like, the reason I said all of that, like, people stop learning and all that stuff because they don't need to, that's one thing that I'm like, okay, now that I realize that people kind of stop learning, basically, and they stop really caring about different stuff. Now it's wide open. They call it blue ocean. I was reading a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. I didn't read the whole book. Actually, it was my buddy's book, and I just skimmed through it. And I watched some videos actually on the topic. But basically, Blue Ocean Strategy, you got to get to a point where like no one can compete with you, just because they're not they're not even in the same realm. And that's why it's called Blue Ocean. Because, wait, hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. I had to do some things there. But yeah, so basically that's why it's called a blue ocean, because no one is in your same ocean, essentially. Like, there's no blood in the water. There's no other ships. There's no rivals at all. It's just all you see is blue ocean and skyline, basically. And I feel like that's where we're kind of at here. So the business model I was basically thinking was like probably something to do with technical contracts. I don't know if it's going to be a blockchain based thing, But basically, I'm still trying to make up the model for it. So I don't know exactly how the model is going to be. I'm going through different designs for like the model of what it's going to be. But it just has to do with basically peer to peer, like private agreements, pretty much, if that makes sense. And the reason I think it's like a blue ocean is because all the businesses, all the big businesses and shit like that, everyone who's trying to start anything, they're like going to the government for shit, right? Like they're going to the government to understand, like, like to go about it basically, because the government has so much control over everything, like in the United States and in countries around the world, not just United States, because like you have to realize a bunch of places have the same model as is like here. Like it's the model of like the United States with its like bank that's not really part of the government but is works closely with the government, and then the government itself being quote unquote representative, but in reality more plutocracy slash oligarchic or whatever word you want to use. And then you have the big corporations that work closely with the government by ensuring that there are certain laws there that make sure that they can keep doing their own business model. And then you have the central bank, which like buys up debt from those companies and does basically certain things like prints money, and then a lot of times, because due to the laws, those big companies are the first ones to get the money, like stuff like that you saw during COVID. You just saw that like really fast during COVID, but it's been happening a while. And then you have like at least in the US, you have the stock market where the central bank like participates in that. Like, and I don't even want to go into all that. Like, I mean, and then you have the governments which printed money backs like your home and shit like that. Like, I mean, damn, it goes like deep. And there, you guys probably know more about that shit than me, to be honest. Like, I don't even know much about that. Like, not even nearly as much as you guys. Like, you guys teach me on that shit. But just stuff like that, where everything's so involved. So you have people anyone who wants to do like business or whatever, they're like, okay, what are the laws and shit? And I'm like a person who I'm just like, okay, if I like want to do something, I'm just gonna go do it and then see what happens. So that's kind of what I started doing, and then now I'm at the point where I think, like, I didn't even really know the model of what exactly I wanted to do, but as I've gone along, I've realized that just private peer-to-peer contracts like that's why the desire of blockchain is so great, is because of the peer-to-peer nature of that stuff. To be honest, I don't think blockchains are gonna, well, I mean, I don't think Bitcoin will work. Blockchains will probably be huge, but Bitcoin probably won't be that like big. I'm pretty sure central bank digital currencies are going to be backed by blockchains and shit like that, and then a lot of other stuff will be backed, like, so, so it is what it is. And those like Bitcoin maximalists who want like the full realization of like the peer-to-peer private, or well, public slash private, like blockchain is very involved, so I don't want to describe all of that. It's like public, certain parts is public and certain parts is private, and they're trying to change that around. I don't know if it's gonna work though, but the peer-to-peer contract part and the fact that it will be digital currencies backing that stuff, digital money, whatever you want to call it, I'm probably gonna take that. Like, so I'll have peer-to-peer contracts, but I don't think it's going to be on the Bitcoin thing. It might just be using regular old central bank digital currencies. Like, I mean, fuck it. Like, but then the contracts will be private. So it's kind of a different model, to be honest. Like the contracts will be private, but I mean, can you really create your own money? Like that's pretty damn ambitious. Like I don't think I can. I don't. I'm not even really trying to create, because that shit just hurts my head, to be honest. Trying to create your own money, that shit hurts my head. I'd rather just make whatever the regular currency is and then just like buy gold or some other valuable currency. But that's just me. Like, right, I said, like, I'm not the smartest person and I'm not like perfect or anything like that. So it is what it is. Like, you guys actually probably tell me, because I'm gonna ask you guys. I don't know if you even want to input. It's up to you. It's up to you guys. Like, I mean, you guys give me some input if you want, because I'll probably ask, like, if I actually, because I actually want to do some of this stuff. So as I'm doing it, I'll be putting it on YouTube, and then you guys feel free to input and even affect change in what I'm doing, because that's why I started this channel, right? I didn't start doing this out of like a school. I didn't try going to Berkeley, which is relatively close, or Stanford, even though I might actually do that later, because I might go back to community college, do comp sci, and then transfer, because there's like a guaranteed program where I can transfer to like certain schools. So I actually might do that, but I started a YouTube on purpose because I wanted to get perspectives from people like you. So that's why I love your comments and things like that. And yeah, basically, I feel like we almost already won though. Cause I mean, just wrapping it up, I guess. I'm surprised memory card isn't full yet. It could be full at any moment here. But wrapping it up, basically, like, I feel like nobody else is really. People are thinking about this stuff, but when you take into a context the amount of humans on the planet, not very many people are really thinking about this kind of thing. And then also, most people who think about it won't really get there, because I think there are certain parts in what they think that may never happen. So I just want to make it as basic as possible. Peer-to-peer contracts, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure the central bank digital currencies are gonna come in, but like whatever currency is commonly used, like, you could. I don't even want to have a currency on top of it. They can use any currency they want, even if fucking Bitcoin's a thing. Screw, you can use Bitcoin. I don't want to make it too specific. I want to make it as basic as possible and just let the user determine what's going to be inputted in there. And then, yeah, I mean, and it's probably not going to be that decentralized. It'll probably be kind of centralized. And if it is decentralized, I'm going to make it like a different kind of decentralized. Like, because like the way that Bitcoin does it, and even Ethereum, like that decentralized network consensus, that's gonna take forever. That might take a decade or some shit to work. And I have more to say about Ethereum. That's just like Amazon's play into blockchains. Like, that shit isn't even decentralized. Cardano, I'm not even sure. That might be more decentralized. I don't know. Those are like two biggest projects I'm kind of looking at. But yeah, I mean, shoot. But okay, I guess that's enough business talk, I guess. Whatever the fuck ideas. Like, I just want to make it easier to like live a life without like having governments do everything. And the thing is, why I ask questions, because I used to think it was a good thing, because I'm like, oh, what if people are left to their own selves? Like, you'd have like white people like slaughtering black people and shit, or like lynching black people. You'd have like, I don't know, a bunch of like bad shit going on, like people not being able to defend themselves. But then I realized, actually, the bigger that government's gotten, it seems like throughout history, the more violence that it seems that has happened. And that's one of those paradoxical things that you have to ask questions and read about before you actually know it, because again, you have to observe carefully, because if you that's like counterintuitive, right? You'd think, okay, the more government has control over stuff, the more like there's going to be peace and all that shit, or the more like, because you don't want individual people, like, you want to have some kind of overseeing of like individual people's disputes or whatever because it's more safe, but it turns out like I don't even know if that's more safe. Like I was literally just watching the news earlier today, and they're talking about famine in Ethiopia, and they're talking about how nearby warring governments are basically at each other's throats, and then all these people are starving. It's like, okay, what if so many resources were going to like all the governments being at each other's throats, and then what if, because there's no way you have a whole region of people that are all of a sudden starving. That doesn't make sense. Like there's literally food everywhere, even in deserts. Like there's kind of food, and then people band together and figure out how to like get resources from the land when it's harsh times. So yeah, dang, like I'm just like I don't even know what else to really say on it. And this wasn't scripted, so it's probably a haphazard ass video, but it is what it is, like posting it up. But it's just like, dang, I'm pretty sure the bigger government gets what it seems like, that's when all of a sudden there's like not enough to go around. Like I'm pretty sure there usually is. But, you know, I am 24, right? So that's why you guys correct me if I'm wrong, shit. I'm not saying government's bad, but I'm just saying a smaller, like, there could be a more efficient allocation of resources to where more people are happy. Yeah, because I don't understand, like, how you could have government printing so much money for everybody these days, but yet I'm seeing more homeless people in my own suburb than I ever have before. And, like, the government's, like, they keep saying help is on the way, help is on the way. Like for Biden's like spending packages, they keep saying help is on the way, but I'm seeing more homeless people now than I ever saw before. And at the same time, there are so many homes to go, like there's so many houses. Like I don't see how people are, like apparently hedge funds are buying up homes for prices above the asking price. And people are homeless. Like, so I don't get that kind of thing. I don't get how people are starving, and you have nearby warring governments. To me, that doesn't make sense. So private contracts, yeah. That's basically all I got. Hopefully you got something out of this video. I wanted to post today for one thing, and I had some thoughts, and yeah, I guess we'll probably get back to regularly scheduled shit. Or, yeah, like, I'll talk about, like, single mothers and shit, probably tomorrow or something like that, but I kind of just want to talk about, like, Ramble a bit, and just see what happens here. 60 subscribers, like, comment, subscribe, screw it. Hopefully, like, basketball, we're in for a good Hawks versus Sixers today. That's basically all I got. Peace out.